COD Champs is in 2.5 weeks, so let's talk about what teams really have a chance to win the event, what ones to look out for to maybe make a run, and who's probably going home early. We got the handy-dandy tier list here with some typical tiers you're used to, winning potential, borderline, dark horse. Then we got the congrats on qualifying tier, the teams that probably are going to be going home early. And then obviously the Cancun tier. I mean, this is the people who didn't even qualify. So for our Cancun teams, I mean, we'll just get them out of the way, right? These 4 teams didn't even make the event. They're vibing out, looking forward to EWC, so we'll be sending them there. To get a couple of the really easy ones out of the way, winning potential, obviously, LAT and Atlanta FaZe are the only 2 teams to have won an event so far this year. There's not really a whole lot to be said about these guys. I think LAT's on back-to-back events, obviously looking like the strongest team in the game, whereas Atlanta FaZe won back-to-back events at the beginning of this season. Maybe hasn't been as good, especially in Hardpoint recently, but is a team on LAN you can never count out and looked pretty good at the last major up until they ran to LAT in the grand finals, and they put up a bit of the fight, but it definitely looked pretty comfortable for the Thieves in those grand finals, best of 7. But looking at these other teams, I think this is where it gets a little more interesting. When you look at the overall standings, our number 8 seeded Boston Breach team feels like they're going to be sliding into this congrats on qualifying tier. There are some people I think that are still higher than most on Boston Breach. I mean, every time I do one of these videos, I pretty much drop Boston lower and lower as we gone. And every time I'll get a couple comments from people that are like, you're sleeping on Boston. They beat LAT at Major 2. They do pretty good on LAN. And like, those things are true, but I think we all agree Boston's one of those teams that really is not expected to do much. If they don't get top 8, honestly, that would be a success for them here, because I think them and the Carolina Royal Ravens are the 2 teams that are probably looked at as the T8 teams that are going to go out 7-8 here at this event. And everyone else looks like the T6. The Ravens are the number 6 seed, 20-20 overall map count, but they've just been on a downward trend in the recent matches. I mean, looking at the Ravens match history, right? They got knocked out top 12 at the last major, 1-4 online, 0-2 at the major before that, 2-3. They haven't really had much success or really any wins since the major 2 qualifiers. So for me, they just don't really feel like it's, I don't know why this just moved. They just don't really feel like a team that's going to do much. Same thing with the Boston Breach. But these last 4 teams are truly the hardest ones and the most fun ones to talk about. I will say, let me just preface this, because I already know I'm going to get angry fans from all 4 of these teams. These guys, I think, are all kind of in a similar realm. And all of them could definitely make a run, maybe even make a grand final if they're able to upset a team like LAT and Atlanta FaZe. But to try and do this in the most objective way possible, in the way I'd be the most confident sort of ranking them out in the rest of these tiers, I think how I would do it is up first for the Miami Heretics. I think they're without a doubt one of those borderline teams. I just think this Miami team is good. Like, I think they're just one of those teams that, like, they can get wins versus a team like LAT or versus a team like Atlanta FaZe, right, when they need to. But then also they're going to come up against them and they're going to struggle. They're able to beat just about everybody else for the most part. I mean, when they play a team like a Ravens or a Boston, it feels like they're going to take them down. When they play a team like Ultra, it feels maybe pretty 50-50. Optic, they've been able to take them down. And their team as a whole, I think, is really good. Real, Rencor, Super, all doing their thing. It's really Metals who is he's the obvious X factor for this team. When he's on point, this team is really, really good. Their SND is great, especially recently. Their hardpoint has been good, and their control has been where they've struggled, especially as you can see on some of these maps like Protocol 1-7, 4-10 on Hacienda. So Vault being their best one. I think Miami, without a doubt, is a borderline team that, like, you know, on a good day, especially a good day for Metals, I think they're a team that honestly has a potential chance of winning this event. And I wanted to really quick thank 1v1me for sponsoring this video, the best place to watch and stake esports all day. We've had a bunch of you guys sign up using the code ATC or using the link down below. A lot of people have been enjoying it. You can sign up, get a $10 stake right now. It's just a great way to watch some competitive Black Ops 6 SND 2v2 league. It's really, really fun to watch, and also put a little bit of your money on, maybe even make a little bit of money if you make the right picks. But remember to always gamble responsibly, and thank you to 1v1me for sponsoring this video. Next, let's talk about the Vancouver Surge. They have obviously struggled a bit more recently, getting top 12 at the last event. I mean, losing to Vegas Falcons in losers bracket to go out T12 was definitely not an expected thing for them. And looking at their overall maps and modes this season, we know they've been really good at hardpoint, but they've been, you know, underperforming, or I'd say, you know, what's the word I'm looking for? Below average. I can't speak right now. Below average in search and in control. And I mean, if we just look at their numbers from this last split, right, the most recent performances they've had, obviously it's been 3.5 weeks since the last major up until champs. So a lot of time for any of these teams to make improvements and fix some parts of their game. But Surge just No one really doing a whole lot. I mean, Neptune's still doing his thing. Not a crazy KD, but 92 Slayer rating is still up there with some of the best. But Nasty had a rough stage. Abuza was pretty solid in hardpoint, but other than that, nothing crazy. And then same thing with O4, just not really making it happen. They were still 8-3 in hardpoint, but not too good at the other modes, especially in Search and Destroy. I think for the Surge, I want to put them in borderline because they've made back-to-back grand finals, right, in Major 2 and Major 3. We know what they can do, but just especially off of recent form, hopefully they improve, or I mean, maybe not hopefully, right? I want LAT to win, but like hopefully for them, they improved over this little break coming into the event. But I'm going to put them in that more dark horse tier where I don't really expect them to get back to a grand final here, but I think it's possible, right? They're a team that without a doubt can kind of beat anybody here at this event. Then to talk about the Toronto Ultra, our number 3 seed coming in, another team that like, looking at their game modes, has been good at everything. SND, surprisingly, they were like the best Search and Destroy team at one point this year, especially earlier in the year. Has kind of come back towards 500. Their control, if I could move this over for you, their control is pretty good. Their hardpoint is really good. They are a team that I think kind of lives and dies by their SND. And it's weird because they played a lot of dealership and they're 1-8 on it. So either they're really trying to work it into their map pool, or they're going to just absolutely veto it out of everything in champs, which I think makes them a really dangerous team if they just start vetoing dealership and not letting teams play them on it. Because at just about every other map, they're pretty competent and pretty good. Maybe Hacienda 4-7 is nothing crazy. But I mean, this team's recent performances, right? I mean, just about 500 in stage 4, lost to Optic twice, which for a team like Ultra, you would expect them to be able to beat a team like Optic, but they haven't been able to. Lost to LAT, beat a lot of the teams they should have. But same thing for me here. I think this Ultra team is a dark horse type squad. If they were made a grand final, I would be surprised they haven't made one all season long. I do think they're good. And like I said, I really think if they veto dealership, which who knows what they're going to do, they have a really good chance of winning a couple of these series and making a run and maybe making their best run of the season at the biggest event of the year here at Champs. But just based off what we know, I'm going to put them in Dark Horse. And then lastly, of course, we have the fan favorite Optic Texas. You know I had to save them for last, right? I need my viewer retention. But Optic is another team. I mean, looking at their stats, everybody positive, everybody having, honestly, a decent Slayer rating. I think Dashy has been their worst player since adding Mercules. Also, these stats are just for Major 4 because this is the only time Merc was on the team, so I figured that's the most, reliable stats for us to look at. Hardpoint, they're good. Control, they're good. SND, they're still above average, still above 500, but it has been their worst mode, their most hit or miss mode. To me, this Optic team is one that is capable of getting back to a champion. Well, I guess Sunday at Champs is really just the final, but you get what I'm saying. Getting into a top 4 again here at back-to-back events with Mercules on the team. They feel like a quality roster in every game mode. Their SND has been their worst, and honestly, it's been Shotzi and Dashy struggling in this, which has typically been their mode. Hook actually probably having his best SND stage statistically of the year so far. Again, I think Optic, same thing with Surge, same thing with Ultra, could be in either of these tiers. I'm going to slot them into the Dark Horse tier, especially off of the fact that they play FaZe in Winners Round 1, which, based on the way this year has gone for them, a lot of their maps with FaZe have been close, so there is a chance I think they beat them for sure. You can't count them out, but based on the way that matchup has gone this season, you got to think FaZe is going to win that one, which puts you right down into losers to start. So making that losers run is definitely tough. I kind of think this is how it plays out. I really think the two teams that have the most probable chance of winning are the two at the top, with Miami being just on the outskirts on the borderline, and then the other three being more dark horses, and then those other two being kind of like probably the top 8 teams more than likely. They're not trying to jinx anybody here, but I think we're all thinking similar things probably for Boston Breach and the Ravens. I'm hyped for Champs. It's in 2.5 weeks, so plenty of time to go, but I hope you enjoyed the video. Make sure to sub for more. We're so close to 10K, so definitely drop a sub if you haven't, and I'll see you all in the next one.